So I just want to warn everybody in Arizona that my granddaughter now has her license. So be careful when you're down there by your neck of the woods, because her daddy's going to be teaching her, and who knows where they're going to be teaching.
Yeah. And howdy, everybody. Howdy, Landon. Howdy, Lynn. Howdy, Melly.
What's up?
The price of copper.
That's it. Wow.
And silver. Story.
Bitcoin, bro.
It's the gold that you can't touch.
Right.
I'm going to make me a Bitcoin necklace. Melt that Bitcoin down.
All right.
Get the big thick Bitcoin chain. Look, it's awesome. See?
All right. Nobody tells me how much Bitcoin's worth.
Yeah. All right. So
anyway,
everybody, as we were reading Ezekiel Chapter 1 yesterday, let's see. Oh, I already switched that over anyways. So we just kind of glossed over the vehicles and the creatures, or the vehicle and the creatures, because it's a big rabbit trail, big multiple forked rabbit trail. And that's why we're having this discussion now. So let's see here. What's going on? I see people. Okay. Let's go ahead and let's pray in, even though we're not doing a formal study, but we need it. So everybody loves it. Heavenly Father, thank you very much for bringing us together for fellowship. We appreciate it. And we love you, and we love each other in you. And we're just grateful to be here. We thank you for that. Bless you and bless everybody here now and in the future. And give us understanding for looking at these vehicles and the creatures too. We're very grateful for just being able to do this and take this time with one another. And for those that are suffering physical ailments right now, put your healing touch upon them. And those that are needing food right now, bring them food from your source, so they know it's from you and that they're not going to starve. Thank you. In Jesus Yeshua's name, amen.
Amen. You want to read it, or are we just going to go over it?
Go ahead and reread it.
All right.
Volunteered.
Where does it stop? Because I think it's at 3 through, or you want me to just read the whole chapter? Or it starts at 3.
Yeah, wherever you're comfortable.
All right. 3 through.
Okay.
At the end of it. All right. Ezekiel Chapter 1, starting at verse 3. The word of the Lord came expressly unto Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Kabar. And the hand of the Lord was there upon him. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it. And out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. Also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and it was their appearance, and this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man, and every one had 4 faces, and every one had 4 wings. And their feet were straight feet, and the soles of their feet was like the soles of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like the color of burnished brass. And they had the hands of a man under their wings on their 4 sides, and they 4 had their faces and their wings. Their wings were joined one to another. They turned not when they went every one straight forward. As for the likeness of their faces, they 4 had the face of a man and the face of a lion on the right side, and they four had the face of an ox on the left side. They four also had the face of an eagle. Thus were their faces, and their wings were stretched upward. 2 wings of every one were joined one to another, and 2 covered their bodies. And they went every one straight forward. Whither the Spirit was to go, they went, and they turned not when they went. As for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire, and like the appearance of lamps. It went up and down among the living creatures, and the fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning. And the living creatures ran and returned, as the appearance of a flash of lightning. Now as I beheld the living creatures, behold, one wheel upon the earth by the living creatures, with his 4 faces. The appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of beryl, beryl. And they 4 had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. When they went upon their 4 sides, and they turned not when they went. As for their rings, they were so high that they were dreadful, and their rings were full of eyes round about them 4. And when the living creatures went, the wheels went by them. And when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. Whithersoever the Spirit was to go, they went. Thither was their spirit to go. And the wheels were lifted up over against them, for the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. When those went, these went. And when those stood, these stood. And when those were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up over against them. For the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. And the likeness of the firmament upon the heads of the living creatures was as the color of the terrible crystal, stretched forth over their heads above. And under the firmament were their wings straight, the one toward the other. Every one had 2, which covered on this side, and every one had 2, which covered on that side, their bodies. And when they went, I heard the noise of their wings like the noise of great waters, and the voice of the Almighty, the voice of speech, as the noise of an host. When they stood, they let down their wings. And there was a voice from the firmament that was over their heads when they stood, and had let down their wings. And above the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne, as the appearance of a sapphire stone, and upon the likeness of the throne was the likeness of the appearance of a man above upon it. And I saw the color of amber, as the appearance of fire round about within it, from the appearance of his loins even upward, and from the appearance of his loins even downward. I saw, as it were, the appearance of fire, and it had brightness round about, as the appearance of the bow that is in the cloud in the day of rain. So was the appearance of the brightness round about. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. And when I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard a voice of one that spake.
Awesome. So what's all that mean now?
Yeah. Let me yeah.
Okay, so let's go back up to when he first sees this. Yeah, and that's quite a ways up there.
All right. Kind of 3 came. Well, that's where he was at.
Yep. So basically, so verse 4. I'm sorry? Someone said something. Yeah. So
It was Landon. Sorry.
Verse 4. Okay. First, he's beholding a whirlwind coming out of the north, a great cloud. And I looked those up earlier, right? So the great meaning big or large, cloud meaning like a cloud. Whirlwind being like a twisty tempest, whirlwind, hurricane type swirly thing, right?
You ever seen those videos that it's usually when someone's talking. Sometimes on YouTube, people will make videos about topics of Christ or whatever, and they'll speed up those rolling clouds that kind of come and they grow. That's what I had imagined.
Mm-hmm.
Just that awesome, yeah.
And then the next part of the description, and a fire enfolding itself. Now, if you all have watched the video I did called What I Thought Was My Testimony, I'm picturing the real version of the counterfeit I was seeing in that, of the smoke rolling in onto itself. Because that's what the enemy does. He counterfeits our Heavenly Father. So I'm picturing something similar like that, but with the flames still, leaping and licking out from it. So it's bright. In the middle of it, the color of amber, which that is Hebrew 2830, because I guess they don't have a word for amber, but they think maybe bronze or something, some highly polished metal, that type of color.
I don't know what electrum is.
What?
Electrum?
Electrum?
Yeah.
Where'd you hear that?
It's on the Strong's definition. A shining substance, amber or electrum or bronze, uncertain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah.
Yeah, the Jewish Public Society says electrum.
Brilliancy.
Oh, oops.
Okay.
Computer.
Spectrum of metal. All right. Anyways. So then it goes right into the midst thereof came the likeness, right, with came being added to the King James. It's not in the original text. And out of the midst thereof, the likeness of 4 living creatures. Now that word likeness means likeness or resemblance, concretely a model or shape. Adverbally like or fashion, right? And then they start adding all their words to try to explain it. Fashion, likeness, like as, manner, similitude. From Hebrew 1819, which is to compare, right? Resemble, like, and consider. So are these living creatures? Are these the likeness of living creatures like we would see in the corner of a building?
I don't know. I kind of take it as living beings, that it looks like a man, but you could tell that it's not. It's not exactly quite. There's a similarity to a man, but obviously it's not just a. That's how I took it.
Right.
I'm thinking like it has like the shape of a man, and then like how we have like this is like one side of my face and this is another. Like this so high side of the face would be the, what did it say was on the right? The lion.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the left side, like this would be like an ox looking face.
Yeah.
And like an eagle, I guess, would be like the center face, but then maybe has a neck and like the body type, like the body shape of a man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's what comes in my head when I read it.
When you're reading it. Okay.
Yeah.
And so then, and everyone had 4 faces and everyone had 4 wings, right? Every one of these 4, the likeness of these 4 living creatures. So the likeness of a man, that's what I think you're correct on that, Ellie. And then verse 7, now their feet were straight, and the sole of their foot was like the sole of a calf's foot. So that soft pad, right, in the middle of the hoof, right? That kind of like a dog's foot pad, or any other animal's foot pad, I guess. Is that what that's talking about?
I don't know. It can be interpreted differently. The legs were straight.
What would be the sole of a calf's foot? Because
You
we
looking
know
that up?
what our sole is.
I'm assuming he describes their legs as straight, so you know that they're not back bent the way a dog or a chicken or a calf or something. So.
Or are they straight?
I think it's that middle thing in between the pads,
Right.
the hollow part.
Okay, meaning the
Strange.
So maybe it's saying that it doesn't have the feet of an eagle, doesn't have, or legs, and doesn't have the legs of a lion or an ox. So it like clarifies that it has a straight leg with a pad on the bottom of its foot.
Okay, Matt. But Margaret asks a good thing, right? Are those special shoes? And then also straight as in plumb. Let's look that up. The word straight. Oops. I don't know what I just clicked. Let's see.
Literally or figuratively.
Yeah. Yeah, I hate that. I don't hate it, but.
But yeah, straight, mostly upright.
Yeah. Yep. And then that comes.
And then it says Jasher.
Yeah, it comes from primitive root to be straight or even. So what's the word again? 3477.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Before we forget though, because it went over the faces already, right?
Yes.
I've often thought of this, daydreaming about what different angels might look like. The eagle in the back makes sense to me because if you ever watch eagles in the wild or birds, really, the way they have excellent sight. They their head moves and they just look and they can see everything. And to me, from I know the angelic realm is different, but that makes the most sense for a defensive position. That an eagle's eyes have, they can see much further. They can zoom in, all that, and their heads, the way they move quickly. I've thought of that. Anyway,
that's interesting, especially when you couple it with how they're moving, like as a flash of lightning from one place to another.
Yeah,
that's the way I'm picturing it.
All the best qualities of the things that we know and don't know about the things that he made.
Right.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. So the feet sparkled like the color of burnished brass. So these are also, is that armor?
Or they're made in the image of.
Right. Is that armor, and then the soft part of the calf's foot, like we would picture tread on a boot, maybe?
Maybe. Or
Margaret's got me thinking that with the special shoes question.
Yeah,
right, because we know a lot of animals in nature have special sticky pads on their feet.
Yeah.
I mean, that
Yep.
doesn't describe this, but
Goat's feet are amazing, but that's a whole nother story.
Yeah. Yeah. So then 8, right? They had the hands of a man, right? The hands of a man under their wings, on their 4 sides. So they have 4 wings. Now, does this mean they have 8 arms? Does each face have 2 arms?
it says hands.
Says
Doesn't
what?
say any more arms. It just says hands. So that's my question. Just hands. So no
Okay.
arms, hands. Is that?
But 2, like in Greek, hand includes the forearm.
Okay. Okay. So
Because your hand is worthless without your wrist. I mean,
true.
when people get their wrists pinned, it really reduces their mobility.
I had a broken one.
But I don't know. You're right. It does not say arms. Okay, now, we got these T-Rex things standing. No, okay,
T-Rex.
bad. Sorry.
That's what I'm thinking.
No, but I mean, you have to take into account the amount of light that he saw, and also the wings are moving. There's a lot of stuff going on in this. So, I mean, it being all that taken into account, you might have been only able to see so much from the blinding light. You can't really make out what kind of bird it is when it's flying over the sun. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and plus their wings moving.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Maybe it was just they were kind of a mixture of light and all these different descriptions of it, and so that's all that he saw was hands, like the one that wrote on the wall for Jeremiah. I don't know.
Well, and it says their wings cover their bodies, so probably more than likely the majority of their body was covered. So you really wouldn't. You'd only get to see parts. Or he's only seeing parts.
Right. So let's see. So their wings were joined one to another. They turned not when they went, and they went everyone straight forward. Right. So they have these 4 faces, and then we were talking about the wings. Let's see. Does it talk about that? Okay. So down in verse 11, it talks about the wings more. I don't want to get too far ahead, but someone mentioned yesterday talking about on the top of the ark where they have the wings stretched towards one another and touching at the tips, right?
I also made a connection. Sorry, you gonna add something else?
Oh.
I also made a connection as I was rereading it tonight. The way there's something. It's not just about a reflection of the Ark of the Covenant. They're connected. They move as one body, as one unit, and that just spoke to me about the way that we're supposed to behave as the body of Christ, the way that He envisioned it versus what we kind of see today throughout the world. But I don't know. It just really stood out to me that they were touching. They were in connection with one another, and they moved as one unit with different beings.
Right.
Individual beings moving as one.
Right. So that, excuse me. So the likeness of their faces. Now, this is what you were talking about, Melly. They 4 had the face of a man and the face of a lion on the right side. And they 4 had the face of an ox on the left side, and they 4 also had the face of an eagle. So if the face of a man and the face of a lion, this is the way I was reading it yesterday. All right, let me get a prop here. So this is the way I was picturing it. is looking at like a square column, right? So if you have it like a offset corner, right, face of a man. Let's see, is that your right? It's my right. Okay, let's do it
Let's do
this
right. That's our left.
way.
Yeah.
Face of a man, face of a lion on what would be the right. And then what was the face of the eagle and face of the ox on the other?
The eagle was in the back. The ox was on the other side. Yeah.
Right, but it's saying the way it says face of the man and face of the lion on the right side.
Oh,
Right side.
Kind of
Oh,
I
bad.
pictured looking at it like a corner, right? So then you would have man, lion, and then what was the other one? Ox and eagle.
Ox.
I'll show the barcode. I didn't plan this out very well. I didn't get an abstract box.
Bye now.
You need your flannel pad there.
I know.
Here, you borrow my shirt.
That. So, anyways, I was kind of picturing these four like columns turned so that the corner is pointed towards him if it's facing him,
Right.
if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Right? So if it's coming towards you, right, they have their wings stretched out, it would be almost like a well-decorated Borg ship if you're a Star Trekkie, if you're a Trek fan. So they would have their wings joined, it'd be moving, and then you'd have these the corners coming with, right, the face of a man and the face of a lion on both of these that are facing you with their wings outstretched in either direction, right? Or depending on which way it was moving. I really need to start taking up artwork so I can explain, so I can draw my thoughts, man. Okay, now that I've confused everybody.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I want to know how he saw the eagle.
You must have seen them when they were turning or something.
Well, they don't turn, right?
Well,
But
no,
he-
but
he
they all
would-
turn together. They all make the same turn. So wouldn't he like see them if they were, because they don't turn, their bodies don't turn. The whole thing turns. Like,
Nope, it doesn't say that though.
doesn't say that their whole bodies turn.
It doesn't
But
say
it
that.
does.
No,
Yeah.
it says, right? So when they're going, right? When they're going like this, let's just use one Post-it note instead of a whole stack.
Yeah, good.
But like this, Lynn, right?
Okay.
Right? When
Right.
It's going that way, and then it goes
Right.
that way,
Right.
right? But it's not turning.
No, I don't mean that turning.
Right,
Right.
but it's not.
It's not turning. They're not turning. So it's always oriented. The way I'm picturing is
Well, yeah, he wouldn't see it. Okay. I
it's
got
always
you.
oriented the same way,
I got you. Okay.
and that would be a top view. But then,
Right.
like if you were on the say the west side, that west side would always be facing that direction, right?
Yes. Okay, so they hold their direction.
You're muted. Melly, you're muted. What'd you say?
She
She's probably having these great revelations and we
he
can't hear.
probably is. Unmute yourself, woman.
No, you said it like it was always, whichever of the face is facing like the west or the north or whichever. And that's interesting that it would be a direction.
That's the way I'm picturing it. Now, doesn't it always, because like, aren't we told his throne is always on the
Yes.
north?
Yes, and then they have, when the temple is set up and they have that one certain area where they have each you know, yeah. So those beings would never change. They would always face the same direction. Oh, wow. Wow.
And then they have, right? Remember what he told Ezekiel and what we haven't read yet? No.
Yeah.
But right?
Well,
Yah he's angry because the men are turning their backs to him to do sun worship. With the four faces on the creatures always facing the same directions, they would never have their back to him.
Wow, you know, the temple has got even more reflections than it appears. Woo. Okay.
So then let's keep going. The ox, eagle, okay, that's how I'm picturing it. What were you guys picturing?
That's what I saw. That's how I saw it.
Okay. Okay, so thus were their faces and their, verse 11, thus were their faces and their wings stretched upward. Now, I don't believe he's talking upward like that way. I think he means like when you raise your hand up.
Right.
To shake a hand, or stretched upward. Two wings of everyone were joined one to another, and two covered their bodies. Doesn't it? You're muted.
So they'd be like in a square. Like, here's my little wings, and my little wing is going to touch Lynn's over here. You see what I'm saying? Then my other wing's going to touch your wing, you know, and you're going to be like in a little square or circle. But I can't help but think a box, because, I mean, it's four sides, you know?
Right.
Yeah. I'm thinking like in like a little square, you know.
Does it say how many of them?
How many?
I think
how
a lot
many
of
beings?
people. How many beings?
Four.
Four.
It was four? Yes,
So
four living. Okay.
This is what I'm picturing them describing right now is, right, if they're at a corner, then they would be stretching one wing that way and one wing this way. Okay, I'm pointing to myself. One wing that way and one wing that way, with a creature here, one wing that way, one wing this way, creature here, one wing that way, one wing this way, touching the wings of the creatures in each corner.
Hold your diagram up higher so that they can see. Yeah.
Right.
Hold it up higher.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That's an interesting shape.
Isn't it?
It's supposed to be straighter. We're going to have to come back and revisit this. I may have to pay someone to draw for me. Okay.
Oh, Emma will do it. See if we can get Emma to do it. She did that one. But we can
I don't
all
believe him.
we can all pay Landon. We can all throw in like money, like the pot into the Landon pot for drawing. Landon can draw. Come on, Landon, break out.
It's been a while.
I'll send you acrylics.
Got acrylic. Well, not to draw with. I had paint.
That's interesting.
So,
Feathers and quills have nano properties.
what?
Huh. That. Okay, so wait, where were we? 11. Okay, 11. So how would they cover their bodies? Is it just hanging down to their side? Melly?
They had four wings. Two
Right.
of the
So two
four
are stretched
wings
out.
are touching, and then the other ones was covering the bodies. I keep thinking like crossed over, like hiding their
Like-
bodies, like cross.
Like
You know,
like when a person is busted nude and they cover them.
like this, yeah.
Okay.
Which
I
would make
see it
sense.
more like their wings are so large that all the feathers like kind of curve around and cover, like, you know.
All right.
But then I look at some other pictures and I don't know if they're inspired or not, but it kind of showed that their hands were kind of crossed at the bottom, like when you cross your privates and because somebody got you busted. And yeah, just like that. So who knows? Won't it be exciting to find out?
I think it'd be terrifying.
But no, I mean, you won't know until after death, and then you won't be scared. Well, you shouldn't be. I mean, you might be a little bit till you get used to it, though, right?
Well, apparently it scared Ezekiel so bad that
Well, yeah, that's
had to
what I
go
mean.
and pack up. Like, hold on, buddy.
In our bodies here, but what about on the other side? Are we going to be like, I don't know, or will we just accept it as normal?
That is an interesting concept. I think blows over most people's head every day.
Well, I think about this stuff like probably too much. So
All the time.
Because like what I mentioned after the study the other day, and I'll say it again, like the human condition is so, we take for granted what we think is real or not. Because if God chose to send these beings to the earth again, people would marvel, some people would freak out, and then within less than a generation, it would just become oh, that's a thing, that's what we call it. And then, of course, they try and cover it up or whatever. But, yeah, we don't realize how much we only accept what we've seen so far as it. This is it. As a, the human, everybody.
So in 12, right? And they went, everyone straight forward, whither the Spirit was to go. They went and they turned not when they went. And then 13, as for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire. And like the appearance of lamps. Well, it says, and like the appearance of lamps. The and was isn't in there in the original text. So as for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance like burning coals of fire, like the appearance of lamps. It went up and down among the living creatures, and the fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning. So is this... It's almost like their countenance is shared among them. Their appearance is shared among them and goes... Or is this...
Is it shooting down to the ball? Or both?
Maybe. Well, went forth lightning, then the next verse, and the living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of lightning. So zip, I mean, just,
In my ESV translation, it says darted to and fro. Like
darted,
yeah.
like a flitting bird. Zip, like a hummingbird. Zip, zip. What? Yes, Landon.
Nothing.
Okay.
I'll send it to you later. It's a documentary on hummingbirds.
Yeah, they're pretty interesting. That's what I'm picturing, Melanie. An orangish yellow light, kind of like when you get down to the coals of a fire.
The darting back and forth in the Strongs is the It's Strong's 7519. I mean, it's QAL. That's in in quote. It's in. It's in. What's the little things? I don't know why I'm drawing a blank for the not a quotation, but
Parentheses.
yeah, call or qual, and it just means to run. Is all that.
Okay, what's a flappy flapper?
What?
Okay, are the flappiest flitter creatures. Okay.
Yeah, hummingbirds.
It's like some of the birds that I see in my backyard, and they'll be like going for bugs that I, of course, can't see, but they really like dart around and, right in the middle air and everything. So maybe like that?
Maybe.
Self-conscious now, Chance.
Fly catchers or something? No.
Okay, so then 15. Now as I beheld the living creatures, behold, one wheel upon the earth by the living creatures with his 4 faces. So does that mean one wheel by each one? That's what you're muted.
I think so.
So
Like there's one. Okay, so they're in like a little square facing each other, I'm assuming. So then the little wheel is maybe right in front of them, or maybe directly behind them.
okay, that
It says the spirit of, sorry, I'm jumping ahead.
no, go ahead. So what, 16?
So it says the spirit, wait a minute. 20. In 20.
Okay.
For the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. So does that mean the spirit of the 4-faced thingies are in the wheels? So they would have to go together. And there would have to be one for each.
For each
creature. Thank
you. It says in Strong's, it says each creature in verse 15, but the way that these articles and nouns, and there's something where we need to ask a Jew, somebody that speaks Hebrew. I don't know. There's some, because it's just, I think that maybe it's one of those things that it's a language barrier thing.
It could be.
Yes, because Hebrew, sometimes one word or a couple of words will mean like so much.
The word for each creature in verse 15 in Strong's 2416, it's an adjective. It means living, alive, green, of vegetation, flowing, fresh water, lively, active, of man, reviving, of springtime, relatives, life, abstract. I don't know what to do with that word.
Well, I don't know, because in verse 20 it says the living creature, and it gives the strong kai, alive. It's the same thing. Look, plant, water, year, strong. Especially in the feminine singular. There you go. So when you get on to the feminines and the masculines and all that, it's like, you're right, Landon. How come you don't know all this yet?
I don't speak Hebrew. It's
So okay, let's go to let's see, 17. They turn not 18. Now, did this mention rings before? As for their rings, okay, so that is Hebrew 1354, gab or gob, from an unused root meaning to hollow or curve the back as rounded. by analogy, the top or rim, a boss, a vault, arch of the eye, bulwarks, back, body, boss, eminent, higher place, eyebrows, nave, ring. Okay, so as for the rings, they were so high that they were dreadful. Well, that's not helping. Who has the other translation here? Or another one?
Oh, what?
In verse 18, as for their rings,
Rings. That's weird. The Greek one, the Breton, is weird. Doesn't even say rings. Neither did their backs turn, and they were high, and I beheld them, and the backs of them four were full of eyes round about. So, doesn't even call them.
and where? What verse was that? 18?
Isn't that the one we're on? Oh, I'm sorry. Did I mess up? No, the rings. Or the rims. Oh,
Right.
The Jubilees said they're ribs. R-I-B-S.
Huh?
See, well, the word high can mean elation, grandeur, or arrogance.
Well, I did a little study on the
Tall
O'Connor.
and awesome.
I'm sorry, Melly?
Tall and awesome. So,
Tall and awesome. Tall and,
like, big.
right? In that, and I'm thinking, what is it? The grandeur of them being, it says terrible or dreadful to look at. They were dreadful, fear or morally reverence. Kind of like, when you're a kid and you see a decked out cop or soldier the first time. Maybe. I don't know.
Or like if you happen to be walking through the woods and stumble upon a mama bear and a cub.
No.
That's sort of
right. Right. I thought you were going to say Bigfoot. Bigfoot just wants some toilet paper.
He just wants a playmate.
but it does describe the wheels in 16 is the color of beryl, and I had to look up beryl. But it seems to be mostly see-through, or not see-through, but a bit opaque. Pretty.
Right.
And yeah.
Where did I put it?
So, and then in 19, see, this is what gives me a vision of like of landing gear almost. But when the living creatures went, the wheels went by them. And when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. Did you say something, Lynn?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. Thought I saw your mouth moving.
Oh, my mouth is always moving.
Okay.
Nothing might be
Right.
coming up, but yeah.
Okay. And then I spent a lot of time looking at spirit because it says whatever the spirit of the creature went, their spirit was in the wheels, right? And the spirit is from 7306. It means wind. It's ruach. We're all familiar with that, meaning breath, life, anger, unsubstantiality, a region of the sky. By resemblance, spirit. And that's one thing I take issue with the Strongs is that, the word that they chose for the translation is halfway down the list.
So
that is correct, Ren.
But I'm curious though that because I do kind of cringe at so many of the theories of the spacecraft or whatever.
Uh-huh.
But if the wheels were like wheels to be used for any sort of purpose like that, how would they see their feet? Because he describes their feet first, and then the wheels much later.
Right.
As it,
Well, that's probably what he saw first. If it's coming down, you would see the feet first.
but the
Just
wheels
saying.
underneath them.
Right. Well, the wheels up by their, what does it say? Up by their side.
Oh my God.
Huh. Party at Lynn's house. Okay. It's not a party till something gets broken, dude. All right. In the wheels says lifted up over against them. Does that mean like it's by their side? The wheel is? Maybe, maybe not. Okay. Okay, no. Everything okay? Take a deep breath and hold it and exhale. Okay.
There's no more adrenaline again.
All right. Okay, now all of a sudden it jumps to in the King James translation, the firmament, right? And the likeness of the firmament upon the heads of the living creatures was the color of terrible crystal.
Yeah, what's that word?
Yeah, wasn't that what Dee was saying is terrible isn't in the Septuagint?
What was it here? It's marvelous. It's marvelous crystal.
Ark, we have not talked about crop circle connection yet.
Yeah, and Brent in the Greek doesn't have anything, doesn't even have a description, just says appearance of crystal.
Okay. Right, and then that word for crystal, though, let's see. Oh, there
Well,
we go.
then the Jewish Publication Society calls it terrible ice.
Right, it
like-
says ice.
Like the color of terrible ice.
Yeah, ice as if bald, that is smooth, hence hail. By resemblance, rock crystal.
Crazy.
It's from the Hebrew 7:139 that means to depilate or make yourself bald.
What?
So very smooth. That's what we're talking. Right? Upon the heads, the firmament, the forehead. Is that what we're talking about? The forehead of the creature?
Over their heads above.
Oh, okay. Yep. Down below.
I did a little study today because you know me, got all of my books and everything. But then what I found was like that when they're describing these wheels on wheels and they're talking about the firmament, that it's like it's a picture of a firmament, and that all the eyes represent the fact that God can see everything, and that the wheels are a representation of our firmament. I don't remember who said it or anything because I looked at a lot of stuff today, but I thought that was interesting because all of a sudden they're calling it a firmament and everything.
Right? Very interesting.
Anyway, that's what I found. I think the wheels are fascinating.
Okay.
And it surrounds the spirit. So I'm assuming that would be the Ruach HaKodesh.
It surrounds what?
Well, I can't read it because my tiny table leopard is
Right.
on my Bible. But
It's time to have a nap.
the wherever the spirit goes, then they go with it.
Okay, let's see that. So and then in 23, it describes again their wings, right? Under the firmament where their wings were straight, the one toward the other. Everyone had two, which covered on this side, and everyone had two, which covered on that side, their bodies. So he's redescribing, giving us a little more detail, I guess, for that at the earlier. And when they went, I heard the noise of their wings, like the noise of great waters. So kind of like, you ever been someplace new and you're like, what is that? What's that sound? Is that a train?
Right.
And then it turns out to be the river. Or you think it's a river and it turns out to be a train, or something like that.
We don't get many water.
Or wind in a holler.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never been there, but I hear that's a lot of rushing water, Niagara Falls.
The way this verse is, the words are in it, how they're separated. That's another one that you gotta find somebody that speaks Hebrew, man. Because there's so many little prepositions and adjectives, and their descriptions are
That much different.
right. Yeah.
Right?
Strong's, man. Come on.
Now the noise of their wings, though, he's liking it as the voice of the Almighty.
So in Exodus, that would be like thunders and lightning strikes.
Right. That's very possible. Right. And so we get then, see, the voice of the Almighty, the voice of speech, as the noise of an host. When they stood, they let down their wings. So does that mean when they stand on the ground, the wings that are stretched out towards one another, they lower them down?
Or does it mean when they're just still?
I'm sorry, Lynn?
Or does it mean if they're just still? I don't know.
It's a very good question. So then it goes into in 25. And there was a voice from the firmament that was over their heads when they stood and had let down their wings. Okay, and then in 26 is when we get into the appearance of the throne. And then I brought that up yesterday, talking about the sapphire, like what Moses and the elders of Israel saw, Moses and Aaron and the elders of Israel, like a pavement made out of sapphire. What is sapphire?
That's the blue stone. Dark blue.
Pretty.
And the star sapphire has like a star in the middle that you can see. But they don't necessarily have to have a star. They're kind of opaque.
Right?
Blue. Well, there's other colors though. There's other colors of sapphire.
Well, I always think this means, I always took it to mean blue.
I think it's probably blue.
Right? Let me see. Excuse me.
Is it
Unless
white,
African
mostly
thing.
blue?
Okay. People were talking at the same time. What's up? Who said what?
Isn't water mostly blue?
It is. What color is the sky?
A reflection.
It's just a reflection of all that water.
I think it's a reflection of the dome.
And
That's just me though.
so let me get this. This is what comes up if you look for, let's see, if you do a search for sapphire, it's pretty blue. And it does give other colors. Then you start getting into the new agey stuff. The healing properties, man.
Well, they do have frequencies.
Everything has a frequency.
Yeah. Well, that's why there was the 12 stones in the breastplate on the priests. And then there was the other thing underneath of it. That was like,
So then in 27, 28, it gives a description of him on the throne. Right? And that. Excuse me.
so
Let's see.
So
Got a special request for Amber. Okay. So that would be Amber. And in some of these that, like this,
I have a necklace of
That
that.
looks kind of burning coalish.
I know, that's what I was thinking. And this.
Yeah, I have one with that.
Yeah, and in fact, look at that
I'll go
one.
grab it. I'll go grab it.
That one right there. Let's see, can we get a bigger picture? We can get a bigger picture. This part here, that really looks like when you're looking down into a campfire.
I don't think it's showing.
No?
I mean, he took.
I can see it.
It's just because I'm looking on my phone. I'll watch. My bad.
All right. That. Oops.
Yeah, no, it does. That's what, and especially if you saw a light protruding from that, it would
Right? Oh, interesting. You're muted.
It's reticulated, she said.
Oh,
And
okay.
It's not very heavy. And you can kind of see through it. It's really pretty. The screen does not do it justice. there's a lot of bronze color in there, and there's black mixed in there. They're very pretty. Sorry, my camera's icky. Color.
Not a problem. Okay, so, oops. It's an interesting picture, and it's good to look through this. I'd like to spend a lot more time on it.
Yes.
Now, did any of you? I know Lynn said she looked some stuff up. Did you, Melly or Landon, look anything up on this or?
No, I was a little busy today. I want to find somebody that speaks and understands. I don't mean just like, what I'm curious if there's a context in like Hebraic culture, and maybe not culture, but if there's a bit of context in how they use the word. You know,
Right.
like there's certain elements to society.
Like Dee was saying that you can have synonyms, words like scorching and hot, right? But then in Hebrew, they would choose a word based on how it's spelled, because in the Paleo Hebrew, the ancient Hebrew, each letter had a meaning, and that would further convey the point you were trying to get across. Right, give you a more accurate description, which, if you want to learn 400,000 words, you can do that in English too. But no one's going to understand you. It's like talking to a professor from Oxford or something.
Michael Heiser.
I looked up living creatures, and it said that it was referring to actual animals, most likely animals of prey, or animals that were just considered strong.
For the
Like
creatures,
ox would be the strength, and then lion and eagle would be prey animals.
yeah, okay. And I looked it up in these creatures in Revelation, and there they use the word beast instead of a creature or being. So that's interesting as well.
That's coming from Greek.
I find this very interesting because these are the ministering angels towards God. And so I went to my very, very old encyclopedia, and it says, whenever there's been a revelation in the manner of which angels are engaged in heaven, they have always appeared in the immediate presence of God, bearing up his throne of glory as the cherubim, perpetually adoring him like the seraphim, hovering above him. And then it goes on to talk about Isaiah and what they say. There's thousands of thousands that minister unto him, 10,000 times 10,000 that stood before him. And in Daniel, waiting to go forth whithersoever he should send them. And all a myriad of adoring spirits, the number of whom was 10,000 times 10,000, thousands of thousands, singing, worthy is the Lamb that was slain to receive power and riches and wisdom, strength and honor and glory and blessing. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? I could barely wrap my mind around 10,000 angels.
Yeah, and I didn't look this up because I can't remember where exactly I saw it, but somebody had a discussion or a study talking about, they were correlating what Ezekiel is seeing here with in Enoch being shown like the clockwork of how the heavens move.
Yes.
And this fitting into that, and they were really likening it to a complex watch. When you study watches or clocks, they talk about movements, right? So if all it does is minutes, hours, and seconds, that's 3 movements. So then when you start getting into date and all this stuff, they have some that are ridiculously high, like 25 movements that just track all kinds of things. And anyways, that they were making a connection, which it won't be too long before we get out, before we complete all of the sanctioned scripture and get into those other extra biblical books.
May I? Because you're talking about, I posted the link in the chat room about what you're talking about, and it's called gotquestions.org. You got to search for Ophanim, and it does talk about Enoch, and it shows different, but I think it's the same thing you probably read.
Maybe.
Because it goes into all that Enoch and stuff.
I don't think I read it. I think I actually watched something on it.
Okay, but this is kind of the same thing it's talking about. Anyway, I know you did more too. We probably looked at the same thing.
aside from scripture, all I really read are technical manuals and stuff.
Yeah, I don't read. But I do know.
Lynn, calm down. Did you go hiking today? Boy, are your dogs barking. Okay.
No, I didn't, but I was supposed to go yesterday and didn't get to go. So.
Oh, okay. So, well, that's awesome. I am so happy that you all came and joined us on this. We need to do more of these, especially when we get deeper down into Ezekiel, because there's more. There's more. But let's let everybody get to sleep or whatever it is they're doing before they go back to work mañana. That means the day after today for those of you that don't speak Espanol.
Or Mara.
Quarantine. I'm on a forced quarantine zone.
Hi, kitty.
Look out, there's a panther on your desk.
Notice how she gets up and moves when it's time to go. She's like, okay, it's time to go.
Oh, now I can leave that. All right. So
I'm done.
very good. Thank you, Melanie. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Landon.
So awesome.
Love you guys. Love you all. We will see you probably tomorrow with the next 5 chapters of Ezekiel.
5 chapters. Ugh.
Yay!
Oh yeah,
All right.
guys, do the like, share, subscribe, and bell thingy. Okay, Matt, where are you?
All right. Bye.